gonna try to let this bend down slowly so it doesn't take out the garden.
It's finally planting day for my cut flower garden. Hi, it's Steph, and today is the day where I get to plant all of these flowers that I've been growing under grow lights in my basement for the last several months into my newly renovated raised bed garden. If you've been around the channel for a little while, you might know that last month my husband and I underwent a huge transformation of our raised bed garden, converting everything from some wood beds that had rotted to some new beautiful metal raised beds by Vego Garden. The space had such a beautiful transformation, and I just cannot wait to get my cut flower garden planted. This is about 90 to 95% cut flowers and only a few pepper plants and tomato plants. So this season, I'm really looking forward to seeing all of these seedlings that I grew from a tiny seed to a beautiful flower that I can experiment with some cut flower arrangements to enjoy all summer long. So let's go ahead and work on getting all of these seedlings down to the garden so that we can plant up my new raised beds. Some of these are already budded up and some are already blooming. Here is my Craspedia, which is a really cool yellow round globe-shaped bloom. And this is the Sugar and Spice Marigold, which is looking really pretty. And I can see that some of the foliage got a little sun scorched. A couple of days I forgot to bring them in when I was hardening them off. And here are some really pretty orange marigold. This is called Hawaiian Orange. And it even looks really pretty with this ageratum that has already started to bud up as well. So this will be quite a job to get all of these planted out. And I might have underestimated how much energy I actually had for all of these seedlings when I started hardening things off. If you're newer to growing seeds, you might not be familiar with the hardening off process. And all that means is getting your seedlings that you've started indoors in a controlled environment ready to be acclimated to the outside growing environments. And the way that you do that is over the course of, say, a week or two, you will slowly introduce your seedlings to the outside climate. So these have all been growing inside under grow lights for me since about February and March. And it usually stays about 55 degrees Fahrenheit in my basement. So about 2 weeks ago or so, I started the process, which is really tedious and something I did not enjoy, of bringing my seedlings from the inside of the basement to the outside to start getting accustomed to the sun, the wind, and the outside temperatures. That is really important because you don't want to shock your seedlings and have all of this work to grow them only to have them sort of start to die on you once you bring them outside if they go into shock. So that is a really important and necessary process. So the first day you want to bring out your seedlings, you put them in a little bit of morning shade and then maybe give them an hour of sun and then bring them back inside. The second day you might give them a couple more hours of sun. By days 3 and 4, you're now increasing the light that they're getting as well as the wind. And then maybe by the time it's been a week, you can start leaving them outside all day and maybe even overnight. So that is how you will be able to acclimate your seedlings. And then if they do okay when they're outside overnight for a couple of nights and your last chance of frost has passed and the temperatures are more consistently warm, then it is time to plant them out in the garden. So that has been the case for me. We are now at the tail end of May and it is pretty safe for me to plant out my seedlings at this time. And while the hardening off process wasn't my favorite, I am going to forget all about that when I get to see these beautiful flowers in bloom. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It might look like I might have a plan for all of these plants, but I don't. I have absolutely no idea where I'm going to put any of them. I did not come up with a little chart or map or anything of that sort. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick them up, kind of place them where I think they should go, and hope for the best. So here's something I learned this year. I started my tomatoes much too early. I started them on March 3rd, and from this experience, I know that next year I'm going to start them probably around the last week of March, first week of April here in my zone 6. So this is my tomato. This is my cherry tomato, black cherry tomato variety, which is really delicious and my favorite. But I grew this under the grow lights and I ran out of grow light headspace. So it got too tall to fit under the light. So I had it off to the side and it started reaching for light, which is how you'll end up with leggy seedlings. But there's a way to fix this. So don't get rid of your tomato if this happens. All you have to do is peel the leaves off of the stem, and tomatoes will set roots all the way along the stem. So if you plant it really deep, there's a way to salvage it. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to plant my tomato on its side and only keep this part coming out of the soil, and that way I'll get a nice sturdy tomato even though it looks really leggy now. I'm just going to dig a trench as deep as you need to plant your tomato plant. And I'm going the long way because I'm planting mine on its side. I'll go ahead and test fit it. You just want to be gentle with the bending of the stem so that you don't risk cracking it. So I'm going to go ahead and take this leaf off. So any foliage that you're having under the soil, you're going to peel off. And I want this to sit right here. So this is going to be perfect. I'm going to add some earthworm castings as well as some Biotone startup fertilizer to my planting hole. And then I can backfill. That is it. Good as new. Now it'll start growing upward and you'll have a nice sturdy tomato. We have a native birch tree that is overhanging my raised bed garden, and it casts quite a bit of shade, and it's gotten continually larger over the last several years. So I asked George if it would be possible to trim off some of the limbs that kind of overhang the garden, and it looks like he's already gone to work.
Look at the birdhouse.
So cute. This is a really cute.
It's not being used.
It's not good.
It was.
Someone made a nest in there.
Yeah, so we can probably empty it out and put it back up.
Yeah, I purchased this birdhouse at a local nursery several years ago and I love it, and it's been on that tree ever since. And it looks like someone tried making a nest at some point. But we're going to take off some of these limbs now. He has his ladder out and this Corona saw that it usually works pretty well. It's a folding saw.
Yeah. We've had this for years.
Yeah,
and
it
works really good.
It's pretty effective for a small tool.
I'm going to try to let this bend down slowly so it doesn't take out the garden. See, I missed the garden.
Good.
I'm gonna do the same thing with this one.
Two for two. We were thinking that it was going to hit the garden fence as it came down, but it's just missing it, which is good.
All under control.
Yeah, I know you did. Always under control.
So we're gonna get rid of this whole branch right there.
Yeah, we still want to keep a nice shape to the tree, but just enough to let more light into the garden so that the flowers I'm growing can get more sunlight. I'm glad one of us isn't afraid of heights.
No, this isn't too bad. And I'm on this ladder.
All right. No tricks on the ladder. Oh, that's a big one. That one might not miss the garden. And it did. Oh, you're getting lucky.
It's not luck.
It's precision.
I'm telling you that.
All right, let's see this one.
I'm gonna let it down slow. Oh, I can feel the weight on this one.
Now we have this mess to clean up. But it shouldn't be too bad. We'll just drag it into the back wooded area. As for a little saw, this is really effective. We've used this a ton around the garden and we've had it for several years. I'm not sure what size it is. Does it say on the blade? No, it doesn't.
18-inch.
Oh, it might be.
Corona.
But if anyone's looking for something like this, it's foldable. Yeah, I'll link it below. I'll link it in the pinned comment and in the description.
Yeah, it has like a safety lock, so you have to hit the button to open it.
Yeah.
But we've never had to sharpen this. I don't think it can be sharpened, but
yeah, because it has a serrated edge.
We've had it for years and it's
so
sharp.
So useful. These are heavier than they look. I dropped mine right here because I got distracted by an allium that's actually blooming in the woods. A lot of times when I dig in my beds and I have weeds and things to get rid of, grass clippings, we end up putting them back here. I guess you could call this sort of like our compost pile. And look at this. An allium is blooming. How cute. That looks so much better. You can see now that the canopy that was overhanging here has now been trimmed back, and it still has a nice rounded shape, and it's going to let more light in. Well, it is now late afternoon and it is after dinner and I have a few more things to plant out. I started this morning, but then it got warm and I don't really like to be outside working in the garden midday when the sun is really hot. So I usually do my work early in the morning and later in the evening. So here we are again in the evening and I'm going to work on planting out the rest of the seedlings that I have for this bed as well as the ones that I have for that bed back there. I did run out of some biotone. So I ran out to Ocean State Job Lot, which is a store that we have here in the Northeast, to pick up some more biotone. And they also had stakes, U-posts or T-posts that I needed to stake all of my dahlias. They had a really great price on them. So if you're in need of some U-posts, it's a good place to check if you have one nearby, Ocean State Job Lot. I had seen some at the Home Depot the other day. I needed the 5-foot length because I had 4-footers that I used last year and I made them work, but they were too short. So this year I invested in the 5-footers so that I'll have them going forward. But the 5-footers at the Home Depot were $7.98, and they were only $5 a piece at Ocean State Job Lot. So I thought that was great. So I picked those up. I grabbed some more biotone. So now I'm ready to go. I can finish up this job. And then I'll give you a little tour of what everything looks like. Now, I did plant my dahlias out just a few days ago. I didn't film it because I had made a video last year about how I bring my dahlias out of storage and how I get them planted up. And I can link that video in the description of this video as well as in the pinned comment. But while I was working on that, George came down and checked in to see how I was doing, and he took some candid footage. So I'll go ahead and insert that here.
Planting the dahlias today?
I look like a real farmer today, huh?
You do. Oh, it's starting to rain a little bit.
Is it?
Yeah. Is this going to be all dahlias?
Yes. Except in the front, I'm going to plant a cherry tomato to climb over the trellis.
The trellis.
And over here's all dahlias. I spaced them all 12 inches apart this year, trying to be correct with the spacing so that they can grow better. Last year they were kind of all intertangled.
Yeah.
So I just have to get some netting and some stakes to have a grid for them to grow through.
Well, this is good weather to plant.
Yeah.
Overcast.
This is a tuber that I bought from
A local farm.
Uh-huh. There's no eye on it, so I hope it sprouts. Oh, there's one little one. So we'll see what happens. When I planted my seedlings, I made sure to include a little bit of the Espoma Organic Biotone. It's a startup fertilizer, so I thought I'd give my seedlings some food to get going, as well as some earthworm castings. And when we finished renovating the space and updating our beds, I did go ahead and top up all the beds with my Coast of Maine Quaddy Blend, which is a compost made with lobster and crab, and it's really great stuff. So between the really good soil and a little bit of food that I gave my seedlings, they should have a really good start. Well, everything in these beds is finally planted out. There is not one more square inch to spare. So in the back, that very long bed, I put all of my dahlias in there. I also have some dahlias in that bed. Some of them were given to me as started plants, so those are the ones that already have growth on them. I tucked some of the marigolds in the front of a lot of these beds. My sweet peas aren't really doing much. They look the same they did a couple of weeks ago when I planted them, so I think they need some fertilizer. And in the front of both of the cattle panels, I did plant a black cherry tomato, and I think it will look really pretty kind of growing up and around the cattle panel trellis. And so I have some straw flowers in there, some cosmos, as well as some cresspedia, which is a new to me flower this year. It is a globe-shaped or round bloom in the color yellow. I think it'll look really pretty with some of the colors that I'm growing this year to make arrangements. The sugar and spice marigold, which actually was supposed to be a white marigold, but most marigolds that are white actually turn out to be a creamy ivory, kind of buttery color. Really pretty. The peppers that I grew, I ended up putting in this bed here. So this bed has the peppers, there's some more tomatoes, and the garlic. Now the garlic is taking up some valuable real estate. So hopefully in July, when I go ahead and pull them out, I can plant the seedlings that I have of sunflowers. So that's my goal for that corner. The chives are blooming, and the purple color on the chives looks so pretty with these orange Hawaiian marigolds that I put along the front side here. Now my peppers are planted pretty close together. I think they're only about 8 to 10 inches apart, and I think the recommendation is 18 inches, but I do stuff like this all the time. It's either going to work or it's not, but I guess we'll see. And I always have a hard time parting with seedlings, so close together it is, and we'll see how things go. And I tucked some basil along the front. I also have a couple of dahlias. I have like 2 dahlias in the back there. This bed is all dahlias with the exception of the tomato and the sweet peas and marigolds, and the dahlias all in there. And then if I turn you this way, I have in this bed some marigolds across the front, some aster, and behind the aster I have some cosmos and some zinnias. And in the corner I planted my snapdragons, which I'm not sure if they'll do anything or not, but that corner, if anything, gets a little bit more shaded, so maybe they'll stay cooler, and if they don't bloom well now, maybe they'll hold on until fall. And right there I have 3 feverfew. And this bed here, the lettuce that we planted that I started with winter sowing is doing really well. It's starting to fill out this corner. And something that I grew new to me this year, stock. Now the stock, I think I might have started too late. These will probably peter out on me pretty soon, but it was a big experiment. So we'll see how things go. But if they don't do well, I can pull them up and try them earlier next year, and I can plant some sunflowers or more zinnias there. So in this bed here, I have some scabiosa. One of them is called something moon, which you grow for the seed pod head, which looks really pretty with flower arrangements. Then I have the summer fruits scabiosa and some zinnias. I really packed the zinnias in. They're planted 8 inches apart on center, so we should see how that goes. Hopefully well. I'm guessing that they will hold each other up so that they won't require staking because they're planted close together. The downside of that could be that they develop powdery mildew, but time will tell. And then I also have some amaranth along the back, which should look really pretty because it gets pretty tall. I wanted it against the fence, so if I need to stake it with some twine, I can do that. And something that is not looking great is the celosia sherbet. What happened was I had these seedlings hardening off outside, and we had gotten a rainstorm, and I didn't get to empty out the water underneath them fast enough, and they got really waterlogged. And it looks like celosia does not like a lot of water. So we'll see what happens with those. Now all that's left to do in this space is to put up my U-posts with some netting for my dahlias to grow through, some supports, and set up the drip tubing. George ran all of the irrigation in this space for me last week, so now it's just a matter of getting the tube with the drip run to all of the plants. Then they are on their own, and all I'll have to do is come in here and pick pretty flowers for arrangements. Well, the sun is about to go down, and thankfully I am now done with this project with the exception of the staking and running the drip tubing. But all in all, a pretty good couple of days of work. So thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will catch you in the next one.
Pet it?
Hi, Maverick. Hi.
Such a friendly cat. I want to see he's friendly. Let's get feisty.
Thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit the thumbs up button, and please consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. And we'll see you soon.